Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Petty, and I am the artistic director of the Indianapolis Children's Choir. And I have two singers from the Indianapolis Children's Choir with me. Over here, all the way to the end, is
Clive.
And Clive, what grade are you in?
I'm in seventh grade.
Seventh grade. And where do you go to school?
Fall Creek Valley.
Fall Creek Valley. And right here next to me is
Max.
And Max, what grade are you in?
I'm in eighth.
Eighth grade. And you go to
Fall Creek Junior High.
Fall Creek Junior High. And we are going to do a workshop for you working with changing voices in your choral ensemble. And this really is going to be a discussion. We're going to do some warm-ups and some different things. We are doing it in the time of COVID, so because we're all in the same room, not quite 6 feet apart, we do have masks on so that we are all safe in everything that we're doing. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. There has been very little coaching for these two guys other than I'm going to ask you some questions and I want you to answer them honestly and tell me how your voice is working. And so we know that whenever, especially in middle school, junior high, we are always faced with how do we work with a changing voice and what is the best way to work with those. And so we're going to be addressing that here. So let's get started. So at the very beginning, working with a voice, expanding voice, Henry Leck, who is my main tutor, my main mentor, talked about this. We tend to label it changing voice, but it's really not just changing, it's really expanding. We did a quick little warm up here before we started, and Max, your voice expanded down quite a bit, didn't it, right?
Yeah.
But you still have these high notes, right?
Yeah, I do.
Sometimes they're there, sometimes they go away, but there's still an upper range and there's a lower range. And Clive, the expanding of your voice is just starting to happen. So Clive, I had started with you, 2 years ago, correct? Yeah. And your voice hadn't changed very much. So over the last 2 years, it's expanded quite a bit. And so we're going to be talking about that here in this session. And there are some constants that we always need to talk about here when we're working with an expanding voice. First, it's unpredictable. So when you guys come to rehearsal or you're singing in your school choir, are there times where your voice cracks?
Yes.
Is there a time where sometimes your voice doesn't work?
Yes, it's really a 50-50 every single time I come here.
It's a 50-50. So that's okay. And we want them to be able to continue singing. You know, there in our history, especially with boy and men's choirs, when a boy's voice first cracked, you know that they were sent out of choir until the voice had totally changed. Now we know that we need to be working through that change. So first of all, it's unpredictable. Every voice is different. Max's voice is not Clive's voice. Clive's voice is not my voice. Our journeys with our change is going to be different. It's based on your body, your anatomy, and your hormones. Everybody is different. There is continuous change going on through all of this. And no one can predict how it's going to happen, what the pathway is going to be. You know, it could be that Clive walks in to rehearsal and every day it's, hi, Mr. Petty, hi, Mr. Petty, hi, Mr. Petty. And the next day, hi, Mr. Petty, and it's a change overnight. Others are very gradual. So it's unpredictable and we don't know how it's all going to work. And I bet these guys tell you every day is a different adventure when it comes to singing. Some days it's good. Some days, well, there are more holes in the notes than possible. It's important to keep the voice singing, though, during this change, to keep working through this. We want and need our voice to keep singing. One of the things that we have in a lot of choirs is where, the boy numbers kind of dwindle down, especially. So Max, you're in junior high, and your director is a very good friend of mine. And you have pretty good boys, yes?
Yeah, we have pretty good boys.
But it tends to be a little smaller than what it was maybe in even...
Oh, yeah. Last year we were in a boys' choir, like all of us. There were like 12 of us. This year, I'd like to say there are like 10 or 11, I think.
And this is the time where it kind of dwindles down. Clive, how many boys are in your choir right now at school?
Maybe like 7 or 8.
7 or 8. So there aren't very many there either. And then maybe once we get into high school, it expands again. So it's a journey, but we want to keep our voice singing so that they have a good pathway, that they have a good foundation for when they get into those more advanced ensembles. And then we need to always find out what they can sing and to help them be successful with that. Both of these boys right now sing the alto part in my ensemble, but at times that alto part sits right on your break, doesn't it? There are other times where it sits comfortably in that changing voice, that expanding lower voice, and they give this really nice fuller sound to the alto sound. There are other times where they need to be singing a little higher because, again, it's on their break, and we have to figure that out as we move along. The other part is, as these guys will tell you, we always work from the top down, always working from the upper voice to the lower voice, connecting head voice to chest voice. And that is a good procedure for not only guy singers, but female singers as well, connecting the head voice to the chest voice. So we're going to do just a bit of that right now. So these guys are going to do a little singing for you. They're going to stand up, and we're going to start from the top, and we're going to work our way down. All right? I'm going to start here. Go ahead and stand up, guys. We're going to start in F major, which is typically what we start in at the children's choir. This is the C above middle C. And we're just going to work our way down with a nice movement. Here we go. F. So that's a low F there, Clyde. You got all the way down here, and then you're down there, Max. Very nice. Now, they were starting up there at the C above middle C. Go ahead and have a seat, guys. And if you notice, I'm not going to pick on Max, but Max, your voice cracked there at the beginning, right? And it was like trying to find that C. Now, he sings that C every week, and he has sung that C for how many years in ICC?
6 now.
6 years, right? He knows that note. This time, though, the vocal folds didn't quite meet. It cracked. It's okay. That is totally okay. But if you notice in that vocalese, we started from the top down, and did you notice they transitioned very nicely across that break? There wasn't this, oh, there wasn't what we call the clunk. We're working on smoothing that over, and that gives them a greater ability to sing more repertoire. Always working from the top down. So there's no magic answer in identifying and working with the voices. We just have to take them on the journey and identify that every journey is different. Everybody's journey is going to be different, and they're going to need to have different things made for them. Maybe alto doesn't work on a song, and maybe they should sing a second soprano part for me when they're singing in the treble choir. Maybe tenor isn't the best part because it sits right on the break. Maybe the baritone part really is sitting on that change, and it's just cracking for them right there. Maybe they should, maybe 3-part music would be better, and they sing part 2 because it doesn't quite sit on the break. We have to find those things. The change in the voice is due to the larynx growing, and that's called vocal mutation, right? There's a lot of change going on right here. There's a lot of hormones that are flowing through the vocal folds and the larynx area. And this can start as early as 6th grade. Clive, what, you're 7th?
Yes.
And Max is in 8th grade. When did you notice your voice start to expand, Clive?
Probably earlier this year.
Earlier this year, so earlier in 7th grade. Last year, not so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Max, when did you first start hearing your voice change?
Probably, I'd like to say around late 6th grade, early 7th grade. That's when I really started to hear my voice dropping.
The difference in it.
Yeah.
Great. So again, both of these guys were about the same time. Doesn't always happen that way. Tenors have a less of an issue with the transition and the change because their vocal folds aren't going to expand as much as the basses. The basses are going to experience what we're going to say is a little more dramatic of a change with that. So here's a look at what's going on in here. And if you guys want to take a look back here at this. So these are your vocal folds right here. These are the folds that meet. And Max, when you cracked, when these were coming together, they actually didn't meet all the way. And that's what the cracking sound is the air pops through there and it doesn't quite meet. And so this is the area that we are talking about with that vocal mutation. So at the top of the larynx are the adenoids, which function as the hinges. So we've got these little hinges right here. And this area right here grows as they mature. So this is smaller, and as they grow, it gets bigger, right? And so this area also expands more. Higher pitches mean they lengthen and they vibrate very quickly. So when they're singing, woo, would you sing that with me? Woo. Now we're going to sing a lower one. Oh, oh, oh. Right? So now they're lower, they're coming together, and they're vibrating slower. And when a break happens, when we hear that crack, right? When we hear that crack, that is when the vocal folds flap awkwardly. They don't meet gently together. Oh, or if I'm transitioning down, that little right there, they don't quite meet as gently as right? So you hear that difference in the moving of them awkwardly. So when a boy's voice begins to change, we move them to a lower part. That's typically what we tend to do. So Clive, tell me about your journey, specifically with us at the IZC. I know you sang soprano for me when you first started with me, right?
Did, yes.
Yeah, so you were singing the top part there. Now, last year you had Mrs. Dwyer. What part did you sing with her?
I sang a low B.
You sang low B. So he did start as what we call A, first soprano. Low B is second soprano, sometimes first alto. And this year you sang alto, which is our C part. How does that fit in your voice most of the time?
Sometimes it's a little too low, and then other times it's like right on that change.
Yeah.
So sometimes I can't exactly hit the notes, and I'll voice crack, or like I'll kind of run out of breath.
Uh-huh.
But other times it's right there.
Just right.
Yeah.
But if I moved you to the B part that you were last year, it's a little too high, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's those higher notes are on that edge. So it's working with them and also finding repertoire that works. And Max, you sing the C part.
I think yes. The C part for me, so I have a much lower voice than Clive. So a lot of the notes that we sing are a little bit too high. And Mr. Petty can probably tell you that I do look like I'm pushing. I'm pushing through all of it. But it's still fun. And it's worth the struggle, I've just got to keep doing it, and it'll get better eventually.
Right, and do you notice that the higher notes sometimes you got them?
Yeah.
Other times, I know he and I have these eye signals that go back where I know he just gives me a look, and I'm like, it's okay, it's totally all right. We were doing a recording for our holiday concert, and he gave me a look, and I was like, you got it. It's okay, dude. Your alto section can take care of you right there. And then you came in on the part that was low enough for you to reach that part.
Yeah, and for me, I can hit the high notes really well, and I enjoy hitting those high notes, and I can hit the low notes, but it's just that middle part.
That middle part.
And that's where most of the C is. So.
And that's where the change is occurring. Those notes right there. And so we've got the higher section, we have the lower section, and how do we work through that middle part? So we know that a lot of people, especially in junior high, start to go for to have the boys sing in their change voice, which is great. But we want to keep them using that higher voice. So, Clive has grown up singing with his high voice. So if you went to junior high and the junior high teacher said, all the boys are going to sing the high C in unison with the sopranos and altos, what would you think?
That would be a little A little too high.
A little too high. The C is a little too high for you. But if they asked you to sing in your high voice, would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like you do with the children's choir, and then you take it down, and then you've got that range, and you keep working it.
Yeah, that'd probably be the.
So, do you guys work in junior high the upper range ever?
Nope, not that often. For us, we've still got tenor. We've still got tenor and bass.
Right.
Yeah.
So, with this, one of the things to remember is because these guys have that wider range, if you're noticing, I could have Max sing tenor if I needed to as a tenor. But he can also sing bass. Clive doesn't have all the bass notes, but he can definitely sing tenor for me. Now, the notes that they're talking about a lot of times are that baritone part where it sits around those certain notes. So, guys, I want to sing one more time. Would you guys stand up again? And we're going to start right here. Right back. Right, this area right there, is that where your break is?
No, it's a bit higher for me.
Your break is up here a little bit more, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right out there.
So if I asked you to sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, could you guys sing that for me? Ready?
Yeah.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So you heard where the break was. It's right there for you guys. Go ahead and have a seat. That's where, if you noticed, right there is where most baritone SAB parts tend to lie. That was the D and E and C, right where your break was. And that, sometimes those SAB parts kind of linger right there. And so we need to find things that fit them. So is it a tenor part? Is it a bass part? Is it, again, a 3-part treble piece? And you can label, guys are going to sing the middle part, altos are going to sing the bottom part, sopranos on the top part. You need to find where your guys are and where they're going to be most successful. And I think that's what you guys want. You want to feel successful. And you don't want to sing pieces where you clunk all the time, do you? Or that you don't feel like you're getting anywhere with. You always want to feel like they're producing something, right? And so maybe part of it is you need to modify their music. So what do we do to help them? So first of all, you build trust. These two guys volunteered to come and be a part of this recording and be here with all of you guys and to do this talk with me and to be demonstrators of what the voice change really is like. But earlier this year, Max sent me a message and said, my voice is changing. I don't know if this is right. What are we going to do? And we took a look at it, and right now C's still the best part for you because of where it's shifting. But we have a dialogue going on that he could come and he could talk to me and he can ask questions about it. And as Clive's going through it, we want Clive to be able to come to us and be like, this isn't working, or you know what, today I think I just need to be in rehearsal, listen, and not do as much singing because not as much as stuff is happening. Keep communicating and checking in. Have the boys rest your voice. Do you guys rest your voice in rehearsal? Clive, you already said that sometimes your voice tires out, yeah?
Yeah.
And so the best thing to do, sit back, relax, and if you notice, both boys have water. They have to hydrate. However, they know, because we've talked about this, that water that you drink is not going to help you until when?
The end.
Tomorrow, right? It's always the water that you drank yesterday that's in there helping you. Because a lot of times, what kids think is as they drink, it's going over their vocal folds. No, if you drank the water and it went over your vocal folds, you would drown. It would go into your lungs, right? So when you think about it, it's already the water that's in your bloodstream. So you have to be hydrating prior to. Other thing that you both can do that always will help your voice is hot towel over your mouth, breathing in the hot moisture. That helps with the vocal folds. Also, hot, steamy showers are always good. And really taking in good, deep breaths, that helps loosen up the trachea and the vocal folds and really helps relax them. Okay, so those are things that we can do. And sighing, big sighs always work. So we want to give them choices and we want to make it a safe place for them. So benefits of doing this and helping with this. So benefits is the foundation of the changing voices from the top down. The more they work on this, the more they're going to be able to sing other pieces. So like I said, these guys can be basses, these guys can be tenors, these guys could even help me sing an alto part, sometimes a second soprano part. They're versatile. They're not just on one part. And we don't like to classify, guys singing in their high voice, their head voice, but we have a lot of very famous people. I'm a big Justin Timberlake fan. He sings in his high voice. That's his head voice that he's using. I'm sorry for my older audience, the Bee Gees with the staying alive, staying alive. That's a head voice, right? Like they made a lot of money using their head voice, right? And so the more versatility we could teach, the better off these guys are going to be, and the more versatile they're going to be in their careers as singers. And again, always remembering that both male and female have head and chest voice. So what we're working on with these guys, when their voice is changing, is also happening in the female voice. They have the head voice, they have the chest voice, and connecting those two, working top down, will help connect those and get rid of that break. And again, that benefits everybody. So we're going to take a look at some vocalises here, some singing here, and just run through a couple of things so that you can see how this works. So guys, why don't you take a drink of water really quick? We're going to stand up here. All right, let's stand and let's do a little vocalese here. So we're going to do. So right there, I'm flipping from high head voice, chest voice. Ready? Here we go. Ready? That is a high G sharp or an A flat. And Max, you got to the G right below it. That is absolutely awesome. So to all of our audience out there, how is that to do that? So I started you where your head voice met chest voice and you went across the break and then you were using all head voice. How did that go?
Definitely in the beginning, the bottom note was what's getting me, that I just could not hit to save my life. But as it got higher, I was like, okay, this is my head voice, I can just use this.
Right.
Clive? Yeah, the change between head voice and chest voice is more difficult than just staying at head voice.
Yeah. So working that transition, how did you get through that? And what did you use? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, your diaphragm, more air, right? More support in it, right?
Okay, I felt like I remember that one.
Yeah. More support in it and getting through that. And then you heard them. They have those higher notes. They've got those higher notes that they can use. Now, are those higher notes there every week?
No.
No, sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Right? And so we have to play that by ear, right? We have to play that by ear. Let's try another one. Let's do this next one. ah. Ready? Right. So right there, I'm going to pick on Max right there. Right there, what did you need to switch into?
Chest voice.
Chest voice. Because right there between this E and this D, if you could see that, that's his break. That's his break. And so we need to stay away from that. We need to be lower or we need to be higher for him to go through that. But that the more we smooth down over that, the better off it's going to be. Now, if you notice, if you rewind this and listen back to the beginning when I was first vocalizing them, that didn't happen as much as he worked on down through it. But I started him right on it is the thing. So if let me start a little higher and then go down. Let's see, I was in D major, so let's that was the first one that I originally played, and if you notice, Max, did you go right over it?
I jumped to chest voice really prematurely.
Really prematurely, but
yeah.
you moved to a different place and you transitioned differently coming down.
Yes, it felt wrong after the first or second one, so I was like, oh, I should go down to chest voice. But then I was like, oh wait, I can't do this, but there's no going back now.
So these are some of the things, though, ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember, these are thoughts they're having in choir while they're singing with you. When you're working through a piece, they're like, boys, where am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to be right now? And we have to help them and take time to have those conversations with them. And that made a difference, just changing that. Okay, let's look at another one. I already did the EO here. Let's do this next one. A lot of these start in, I like to start in D major, E flat major. This one. Actually, I'm going to start up here, E flat. I'm in E flat, ladies and gentlemen. Sing a song. Ready? And sing a chest voice now?
Yeah, I'm totally in chest voice.
So you had about 4 or 5 of those, right? Where you were navigating between chest, head. You had to start a couple notes in head and then transition into chest, head, chest. And you did at the very end. Your change is a little lower, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So if you notice that, you just have to know where they are when you're picking repertoire. Now, at the beginning of the season, when these 2 guys come in, I have auditioned them in the spring. Do you notice your voices change over the summer? And they come in, and some of the stuff that I take is not totally right. And so we have to be able to adjust. Sometimes I know a lot of you will pick repertoire. Maybe after the kids start to come in, you have some ideas. And then once you hear them for the first time, you guys can go ahead and sit down again. You can you shift around and you change. But that's the thing, you have to change to where your choir is. And that's not only for guys in their changing voice or expanding voice, as we like to call it, but also the treble singers that you have. The sopranos and altos are shifting too. There's a lot going in here with both the male and female anatomy and with the vocal folds. There's a lot of hormone growth going on that is going through there. And so we need to make sure that we are addressing that with both the boy's expanding voice and the female expanding voice. as well as we go through that. So, guys, do you have some final comments about your voice and how, if you could give advice to teachers, being both in the public school and then working with ICC, what are some things that have helped you on your musical journey, on your singing journey, that have made you a success, or tips that you would give other teachers? So I'm going to go Clive first.
I think that teachers should be patient because that will go a long way. Just being patient with your student with whose voice is changing,
Mm-hmm.
so they can grow and the teacher can grow, and it's a win-win.
It is a win-win, and it sets up that great communication, that relationship that's building, and it is truly a win-win because our goal is to keep them singing, and we want them to feel good about that. So Max, if you could give some advice to teachers, what would it be?
This is one big thing. So like at ICC, like there's like a shift between contra and going up to indie voice too. And when you're dealing with these types of kids, like they're just entering seventh grade, warn them about their changing voice. Because I remember I got auditioned, and on the first day, on my first day in IV2, we were doing voice checks, and you called on me, and then I could not hit any of the notes. I was like the entire time, and I was so embarrassed.
And that was actually voice placement when
Yeah, it
we were
was.
doing voice placement, and that was in D major where we sing "So me, so me," and that was a day
Yeah.
where it didn't happen.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for it. I knew that my voice was changed. I knew that was like my regular voice was leaving, but I wasn't sure about like my singing voice. So I was like, oh, okay, I can just hit these, and then I couldn't hit them, and I'm like, what's going on? What's happening?
And that was, as he said, the first thing coming back over the summer. Um, and did you go on tour with us over the summer?
That was the one to New York, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes, I did go on
You
the
went
New
on
York
that, and
tour
that
with you.
was like the beginning of the summer. So like you had not sung for like maybe a month or so, and so that's the thing. Like checking in, that was my first check in with him. They came back, and I was doing voice placements, and so we got through that. But that's I think one of the things, yeah, to make sure for all of us as they go away for the summer, be like, hey guys, if things happen, let us know. Come talk to us. Let us know what you need from us. I know, Max, the other thing that we did last year during COVID, I know some stuff was happening and your voice was changing a lot more, and we weren't together because
Yeah, I
we
had some personal stuff going on, so I stopped showing up to rehearsals for
but
a
we
little bit.
were not even with it was with COVID.
Yeah, it
and
was.
and so he had contacted me, dropped me an email, and I sent him some warm up videos and some different stuff that he could watch.
Yes.
And so you just want to keep those lines of communication open, and these are teachable moments. You want them to understand what their voice is doing because that just makes them a better musician and able to navigate through this. And as you can see, they're making choices as they're singing. These are just simple warm ups. But as they're working with me in rehearsal, they're letting me know this is working, this isn't working. We're going to go here, we could shift here. I might need to shift apart. We have those regular discussions uh, throughout our organization about what works, what doesn't work. So I think those are great comments, guys, and I want to thank both Clive and Max for being my guinea pigs here and singing for you guys and sharing their voices with you, their experiences. Um, and I'm so proud of these two guys and the work that they do, not only with the Indianapolis Children's Choir, but in their schools and the wonderful people that they are. And hopefully, this journey continues for them for a long time to come. I remember when I first met Max, when you joined Indie Voice too. We always do a fall concert out at Penrod. And I can remember you were in the back of the bus going to Penrod, and you're like, this is my thing. I love choir. This is my thing.
Yes.
And I'm just so proud of these guys and the work that they're doing, and that they're able to help us become better educators, better teachers, so that we can help more boys with their expanding voice. And hopefully you found this very helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at the Indianapolis Children's Choir. We do wherever you are, if you would like to come in and observe our rehearsals, we use WebEx. You are more than welcome to pop in, watch our rehearsals, see how we're working with them. And I'm sure you'll see these two guys around in those rehearsals if you pop in. So thank you so much for joining us for this session. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at the Indianapolis Children's Choir. And again, thank you to Clive and Max for being part of this session.
This video of Lift Thine Eyes was taken 2 years ago. Pay close attention to the boys in this ensemble. The second video was taken in March when these boys are now in our high school ensemble. We hope you enjoy these 2 videos of Lift Thine Eyes and Prayer of the Children.
Crying, Jesus, help me to see the morning light of one more day. But if I should die before I wake, I pray my soul to take. Can you feel the hearts of the children? Keep in a shattered world. Angry gods preach a gospel full of hate. Blood of the innocent on their hands. Crying, Jesus,